Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are doing our week in review. I'm a late. I'm a little late getting it recorded and everything, so I apologize for that. But let's go ahead and hop into it. First, we want to look at sports. Right now, there is college football, college basketball, college hockey is already over with. The NHL, the NBA is over with. The NFL's in an off season, and even FIFA is in an off season. So the only thing really to look at is Major League Baseball, which of course lasts forever. It feels like. Hockey and basketball do 82 games, but that's only half of what baseball does, which is 162. So, anyway, let's take a look though. In the American League East, the New York Yankees lead with a record of 53-28. 7 games behind is the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at a record of 47-36. Behind them is Boston Red Sox, the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Baltimore Orioles, in that order. In the AL Central, leading is the Minnesota Twins with a record of 53-29. And behind them, by 9 games, is the Cleveland Indians with a record of 44-38. They're followed by the Chicago White Sox, the Detroit Tigers, and the Kansas City Royals, in that order. And in the AL West, we have the Houston Astros with a record of 51-32. The Texas Rangers are 5 games behind with a record of 46-37. And they're followed by the Oakland Athletics, the Los Angeles Angels, and the Seattle Mariners, in that order. Now, let's look at the NL East. The Atlanta Braves now lead the division at a record of 50-34. Behind them are the Philadelphia Phillies with a record of 43-40. And then we have the Washington Nationals, the New York Mets, and the Miami Marlins, in that order. In the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs lead with a record of 45-38. 1 game behind them are the Milwaukee Brewers with a record of 44-39. And then the St. Louis Cardinals, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Cincinnati Reds, in that order. And in the NL West, I almost called it the NL West. The NL West, the Los Angeles Dodgers lead with a record of 56-29. 11 games behind are the Colorado Rockies with a record of 44-39. Behind them are the San Diego Padres, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the San Francisco Giants, in that order. And that's currently how Major League Baseball sets. So with that, let's look at science. Taking it a moment to load everything up here, so I apologize for that. All right. Is climate change causing Europe's intense heat? The latest claim of turning hydrogen into a metal may be the most solid yet. The earliest known galaxy merger occurred shortly after the Big Bang. With Dragonfly, NASA is heading back to Saturn's moon Titan. In mice, a high-fat diet cuts a brake used to control appetite. Huh. In a first, telescopes tracked a lone fast radio burst to a faraway galaxy. Some ancient crocodiles may have chomped on plants instead of meat. Antioxidants may encourage the spread of lung cancer rather than prevent it. DNA reveals a European Neanderthal lineage that lasted 80,000 years. Huh. Thick calluses don't make feet any less sensitive. Peru's famous Nazca lines may include drawings of exotic birds. Signs of the color blue may have been found in a fossil for the first time. These fungi drug cicadas with psilocybin or amphetamine to make them mate non-stop. Well, a new algorithm finds nearby stars could host hidden worlds. Dried earth microbes could grow on Mars with just a little humidity. 3D mammograms are popular, but are they better than a 2D? Gut microbes might help elite athletes boost their physical performance. Capuchin monkeys' stone tool use has evolved over 3,000 years. The nearest energy photons ever seen hail from the Crab Nebula, and new approaches to help solve Lyme disease diagnosis dilemma. So that's what they had going on in Science News.org. Let's take a look at Science Mag. And it's taken it a moment to kind of pop up there. While that's doing that, I'll go ahead and bring up YouTube so we can pull up its sites here in a moment. Okay. Science Mag Hypertension-induced alarm signal fires up T cells. Special series, Tomorrow's Earth. NASA will fly a billion-dollar quadcopter to Titan, Saturn's methane-rich moon. UV pulses with dynamic self-torque. A biosensing soft robot with integrated organic and inorganic surfaces. The first goldfish genome sequence. And collagen anchors make combination immunotherapy safer and more effective in mice. Space station mode survives 200 times the radiation dose that would kill a human. Cockroaches may soon be unstoppable thanks to a fast-evolving insecticide resistance. New solar technology would produce clean drinking water for millions in need. Viruses, not bacteria, cause most childhood pneumonia. Aviation's dirty secret. That airplane contrails are a surprisingly potent cause of global warming. And a baffling radio burst traced to a galaxy 3.6 billion light years away. Well, let's scroll on down. And let's see, we are looking for science. Star Talk. Let's see what Neil deGrasse Tyson has been going over. Making stuff with Adam Savage and Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's what's on their Star Talk channel. Let's see what else. It takes me a while to run through all these because I got so many channels attached. Veritasium. What have we got on Veritasium? Nothing new. How about TED-Ed? Or TED, there we go. Technology, Education, and Design. We have a video on bacteria that eat plastic. What prosecutors and incarcerated people can learn from each other. How to deconstruct racism one headline at a time. What it takes to launch a telescope. And the amazing brains and morphing skin of octopi and other cephalopods. Now, let's look at history. Let's take a look at Native Tongue or Native Lang and see if he has anything new. This looks at ancient languages. Before Maya before, Maya after. How a tenseless language talks past and future. So the language of the Mayas. Okay. What else have we got going on with history? It takes so long to go through these channels. I've got so many on my YouTube here. Biographics, there it is. Let's see what biographies Simon Whistler has for us. Bernie Madoff, the greatest con in history. Adrian Carton de Wiart, the unbreakable soldier. Jiro Horikoshi, father of the Japanese Zero fighter. Frida Kahlo, the revolutionary artist. And Benjamin Franklin, the founding father. So that's on YouTube. Now let's take a look at this week in history. 28th, 27th, 26th, 25th, 24th, 23rd, 22nd. So it should go back to the 22nd. Yeah, I am right. I am always right. No, not really. I'm not so foolish to think I'm always right. Come on now, computer, work with me. I'll even close the biographics page so you can work on it. That should be the 22nd. Yeah. 22nd of June, 1944. Franklin Delano Roosevelt signs the GI Bill, which is a way to help reward those who fought in World War II. June the 22nd, 2011, notorious Boston mobster Whitey Bulger is arrested. June the 22nd, 1945, the Battle of Okinawa ends. June the 22nd, 1876, General Santa Anna, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna dies in Mexico City. Let's see what else. Alright, up we go. And to the next day, June the 23rd. Come on now. On June the 23rd, 1992, Mafia boss John Gotti, aka the Teflon Don, sentenced to life. June the 23rd, 2018. Thai soccer team becomes trapped in the cave. So it was just a year ago. June the 23rd, 1956. Gamal Abdel Nasser, elected president of Egypt. June the 23rd, 1972. Title IX enacted. On this day in 1972, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 is enacted into law. Title IX prohibits federally funded educational institutions from discriminating against students or employers based on sex. Now, let's take a look at the next day, June the 24th. It's taking it a moment. It's a thinking. June the 24th, 1997, U.S. Air Force reports on Roswell with a 231-page report dismissing long-standing claims of an alien spacecraft crash in Roswell, New Mexico, almost 50 years before. What else happened on June the 24th? June 24th, 1675. King Philip's War begins. In colonial New England, King Philip's War begins when a band of Wampanoag warriors raid the border settlement of Swansea, Massachusetts, and massacre the English colonists there. Let's see what else. June the 24th, 1864. Colorado governor orders Native Americans to the Sand Creek Reservation. It would lead to the infamous Sand Creek Massacre. Let's look at June the 25th. Well, this seems to be a much longer page. The others have been short, but June the 25th, 1876, the Battle of Little Bighorn. Were forces led by Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull slaughter the forces under Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer. What else happened on the 25th? June the 25th, 1993, Kim Campbell becomes Canada's first female Prime Minister. June the 25th, 1915, the Germans released statement on use of poison gas at Ypres. On this day in 1915, the German press publishes an official statement from the country's war command addressing the German use of poison gas to start the Second Battle of Ypres 2 months earlier. And of course, we know it was something that was severely unliked by both sides, the use of poison gas. So it's since been outlawed as a weapon of war. June the 26th, 1948, the U.S. begins the Berlin airlift, trying to get food into Berlin after half of it was shut off by the Soviet Union blockade. What day are we on? 26th. June the 26th, 1945, UN Charter signed. June the 26th, 1541, Francisco Pizarro, conqueror of the Incas, is assassinated. June the 26th, 1917, the first U.S. troops arrive in France. June the 26th, 1807, lightning strikes gunpowder factory in Luxembourg, killing hundreds. Let's look at the 27th. Try this again. The 27th. The 27th. There we go. It worked that time. June the 27th, 1950. President Truman orders U.S. forces to Korea. June the 27th, 1829, English scientist James Smithson establishes the Smithsonian Institute. June the 27th, 1940, the Germans employ the Enigma coding machine for the first time. That day was rather short. Try this again. June the 28th. Killing me sitting there. I had to situate myself a bit there. Sorry for moving things around. June the 28th, 1969. The Stonewall riots begin in New York City's Greenwich Village. Sometime after midnight on June the 28th in 1969, in what is now regarded by many as history's first major protest on behalf of equal rights for LGBTQ people, a police raid of the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay club located in New York City's Christopher Street, turns violent as patrons and local sympathizers begin rioting against the police. June the 28th, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife Sophia are shot to death by the Bosnian Serb nationalists during an official visit to the Bosnian capital of Sarajevo. It would spark the chain of events that would cause the outbreak of World War I. And it's interesting because these nations had these allyships with these other nations without these nations knowing about it. And so it would drag in nation by nation by nation because of secret alliances they had with each other. It was interesting. June the 28th, 1519, Charles I of Spain, elected Holy Roman Emperor. Let's see. Oh yes, the famous snack in a sports event. June the 28th, 1997, Mike Tyson bites ear of Evander Holyfield in the third round of their heavyweight matchup. June the 28th, 1992. Two big earthquakes rock California. June the 28th, 1836. Former President James Madison dies. The first 5 presidents were founding fathers through and through. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and James Monroe. After that, you start seeing others, descendants from the founding fathers and stuff like that. But those first 5 were original founding fathers. They wrote our original documents. You know, Thomas Jefferson is known as one of the original writers of the Declaration of Independence, but I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Madison or Monroe that was one of the Constitution's main authors. But anyway, and that is today in history. Now, with that said, let's look at the top 10 idiots of the week for June the 22nd through June the 28th. And it's a bit extended this week. We have, as always, Donald Trump for being the complete and utter moron he tends to always be. Joe Biden for not realizing that saying stupid things would come back to bite him. Especially in the most recent debates. Stuart Varney for crying that billionaires are victims of the left because they are jealous of their wealth. No, they just want equal standing. And right now, we are now in an oligarchy. Oh, I swear. Nancy Pelosi for defending Joe Biden as authentic. Margaret Brennan for calling attack on Iran limited strikes. It don't matter if they're limited strikes. They're still attacks. It's the constitution of war. Matthew Bennett, the former Clinton strategist, claims centrist running will win against Donald Trump. No, it won't. We tried that with Hillary, remember? Third Way for backing the Wall Street bailout, but saying bailing out student loans is regressive. I say it's better to help the majority of the people and not just the rich. Meghan McCain for getting angry over the words used to describe the migrant detention facilities. They are concentration camps. They concentrate a group of people that others think are undesirable or unwanted within an area. That is concentration camps to a T. John Delaney for continuing to push back against Bernie and democratic socialism. Mark Morgan for seeing those fleeing prisoners as future gang members. He said he looked into their eyes and saw them as future members of MS-13. Guys like that do not need to be in any positions of responsibility or power. Get Mark Morgan out of there. A Trump supporter for not understanding that what socialism actually is. Your Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. These are all, socialism programs. Taxes collected by everyone, put into a pot to help all of society. Tim Ryan for being roasted so badly by Tulsi Gabbard in the debates. And he was roasted horribly. Tulsi just wrecked him. Now, let's look at our news of the week. On Saturday, from Status Coup, NBC News denies Status Coup credentials to cover the first primary debate. Donald Trump is lying about not knowing the rape accuser, E. Jean Carroll, and Jen explains why. There's a photograph of them in the same picture. We know he knows her. God, he's such a liar, and people still take his word. Trump's good. Idiots. Marquise challenges dude over immigration being part of the problem. There is no proof, sir. From Secular Talk, Mayor Pete serves up foreign policy word salad. Joe Biden called for banning raves. Kyle shows how edgy outsider Steven Crowder starts his day, which it was the Pledge of Allegiance. Steven Crowder, not edgy at all. He's like a little frat boy. Fox News tries to argue billionaires are victims. A throwback to the greatest debate entrance spell of all time, which was Ben Carson and Donald Trump standing there after they had already been announced. From Democracy Now! Why U.S. war with Iran would lead to global economic catastrophe. From The Rational National, Biden and Sanders, or Biden versus Sanders versus Warren. 2020 pundits should own their own bias. From The Humanist Report, Republicans use socialism as a synonym for bad, but Bernie defangs that attack. An interview with Joshua Collins, a socialist truck driver challenging a conservative Democrat, and dunks on Ben Shapiro. He dunks on Ben Shapiro. From Vice News, kids in Thailand still fighting Muay Thai, even after the death of a young boy. And the first vaccine against malaria has arrived. From Vox, Vox explains the Hong Kong huge protests. And from The Intercept, AOC won't apologize for calling ICE detention centers concentration camps. Nor should she apologize. They are concentration camps. Pure and simple. Sunday, from Democracy Now! Why Tiffany Caban, the Queen's DA candidate, explains why she's running. The Rational National. We should all learn from Portugal. Vice News. This guy hates Hamilton so much that he wrote a play to roast Lin-Manuel Miranda. From the Patriot Act, Hassan Minhaj has suggestions for celebrating Eid, one of Islam's religious holidays. From Last Week Tonight, John Oliver looks at Mount Everest and how it is now suffering climber overcrowding. And from The Intercept, what is happening to Guatemala's land defenders? On Monday, from Status Quo, Jordan interviews Mike Gravel. Joe Biden is a disaster. Nancy Pelosi defends Joe Biden swooning over segregationists as authentic. Nevada Democratic Party proposing a virtual caucus, and progressives aren't buying it at all. From Secular Talk, Bernie proposes canceling all $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Ben Shapiro's audience destroys him with facts and logic. Bernie scoffs at reporter's stupid point. Trump can't stop saying the quiet part out loud. And Tulsi Gabbard defends Joe Biden and calls for civility. Now, from Democracy Now! The U.S. announced a new wave of sanctions against Iran. Iran says they will shoot down more drones if they come into their airspace. ICE to start mass roundups of immigrants in 2 weeks. New accusations of rape leveled against Donald Trump by E. Jean Carroll. President Erdogan of Turkey's party lost seats in recent elections in Istanbul. Ethiopian Prime Minister said people killed after there was a coup attempt. An open pit coal mine protested in Germany to protest climate change. New York City police arrested climate activists who wanted New York Times to call climate change a climate crisis. Bernie Sanders introduces a bill to cancel student loan debt. Buttigieg facing backlash over death of Eric Logan in South Bend. Eddie Africa of Move 9 released from prison. Japanese internment activists protest Fort Sill as the Trump administration wants to keep immigrants there. Japanese American internment survivors plan protests to jail immigrant kids at Fort Sill, a World War II camp where Japanese internment survivors were kept. Somebody is going to die, lawyer describes chaos, illness, and danger at migrant child jail in Texas. Ola Beanie, privacy activist and Julian Assange's friend, speaks out after release from Ecuadorian jail. Japanese American internment survivors protest U.S. treatment of migrants. Children are dying, law professor describes migrant detention center. And law professor says Trump created the chaos at the border through immigration crackdown. From Philip DeFranco, Belle Delphine trolled many followers by saying she will open a Pornhub account and it was only pun videos instead of porn. Streamer Dr. Lupo closed out GuardianCon by raising over $900,000 for charity. And Bitcoin's value soars with Facebook's announcement of a cryptocurrency, and why the shocking election in Turkey matters. From the Rational National, CBS News anchor plays dumb and embarrasses herself in Bernie Sanders interview. MAGA hat wearing Doug Ford supporter is all cringe. From the Humanist Report, the New York Times posted a piece called 18 Questions and 21 Candidates. Mike examines that piece. From Vice News, the making of the last black man in San Francisco. Why 2020 Democrats can't take the LGBTQ vote for granted. And Lucas Nelson and Logan Metz break down their song Bad Case. From MCSC, Tulsi wrong for Biden tweet, but not for the reason you think. Meet the woman running to replace Nancy Pelosi, Agatha Bacelar. Bernie proposes student debt forgiveness. Excuse me. And Tulsi's controversial tweet supporting Joe Biden. From C-SPAN, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin on Iran sanctions. On Tuesday, from Status Quo, will Bernie take off the gloves during the first presidential debate? Wendy's manager tries to stop workers as they attempt to strike for $15 minimum wage. Bernie Sanders pushes back against CBS anchor on limited strike against Iran. Ben Norton on potential war with Iran would be much worse than Iraq. Beto O'Rourke's big idea, tax working people even more for more war. From Secular Talk, make Iran great again. CBS tries gotcha question with Bernie. It backfires. Desperate corporatist attacks Bernie with the power of a gnat. And left YouTube de-radicalizes another from the right-wing rabbit hole. From Democracy Now! Trump imposed new sanctions on Iran and wants to sanction their diplomats. Pompeo traveled to Saudi Arabia and the UAE to build a coalition against Iran. Department of Homeland Security transferred 300 out of Clint, Texas. FBI investigating death of 4 unidentified people near Rio Grande. Trump says he would have not raped E. Jean Carroll because she is not his type. This brings the sexual assault allegations against Trump to 22. Economic workshop held by Jared Kushner in Bahrain will bring peace. To bring peace to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Unprecedented heat wave gripping Europe this week. India's 6th largest city is nearly out of water. Freedom of Information Act kept from newspaper investigating food stamp fraud. Oregon lawmakers fled state capitol to avoid voting on climate change bill. Which that shows cowardice, not intelligence. Judge ruled Missouri sole abortion clinic can keep the doors open through this week. 9/11 first responders meeting Mitch McConnell to extend the 9/11 health law. Treasury Department internal watchdog will look into why agreed change on 20% on $20 bill will not take place next year. As Trump proposes new sanctions, Iran says U.S. has permanently closed the path to diplomacy. Jonathan Kozol says Joe Biden didn't just praise segregationists, he also spent years fighting busing. Oregon Republicans, backed by right-wing militias, flee state capitol to stall vote on historic climate bill. As I said, they're cowardice. They so don't want to acknowledge the fact that climate change is real and do something about it that they run from doing their own duty. I think they should be forced to resign and have new people assigned to their positions, because their behavior is uncalled for. Trita Parsi. Who are the doves in Trump's cabinet? And Joe Biden could be civil with segregationists because he shared their views. From Philip DeFranco. A California bill that would provide student compensation is opposed by the NCAA and may ban California schools from participating in championships. Jussie Smollett body cam footage released, and a judge looking into the dropping of charges against Smollett, as well as the prosecutor excusing herself from the case. And child detention horror case in Clint, Texas. From the Rational National, Bernie unveils plan to cancel all student loan debt. Meghan McCain's latest rant ranks hyperbole over lives. From the Humanist Report, an outtake reel of Mike during the show. From Vice News, inside the Washington, D.C.'s most dangerous play about a Mueller conspiracy. Some more news. Perhaps Ben Shapiro shouldn't be taken seriously by anyone about anything. Cody tears apart the intelligent mask to reveal who Ben Shapiro really is. From MCSC, Bernie one-ups Elizabeth Warren on debt cancellation plan. From Tim Black TV, Tulsi Gabbard's Joe Biden civility defense was an unforced error. There we go. And from C-SPAN, President Trump very concerned about conditions at detention facility. On Wednesday, from Status Quo, what to expect from Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard in the Democratic presidential debates. CNN immediately pivots to different topics when the guest tells the truth about Joe Biden. Jimmy Dore supports Status Quo as NBC denies them media credentials for the debate. Donald Trump supporter defends grab them by the pussy. People grab other people once in a while. And Jordan Live from a Tulsi Gabbard debate watch party. From Secular Talk, anti-Medicare for all debate reaches record-breaking levels of delusion. Insurance companies launch an anti-Medicare for all propaganda campaign. That ought to tell you we're on the right track if insurance companies don't want it. They're like, no, we can't make our big money if you do that. Alabama legalizes Christian morality police. And Trump using presidential trips to his own businesses to make money. From Democracy Now! The Department of Homeland Security moved 100 children back to the facility in Clint, Texas. John Sanders stepping down with Mark Morgan set to replace him. House passed bill to up funding for detention facilities. Activists to defund hate campaign protested in Senate Rotunda. Ro Khanna and Matt Gaetz put forth bill that would enshrine need for constitutional authorization before any other action can be taken against Iran. Tiffany Caban looks to win the Queen's DA race. South Korean President Moon Jae-in speaks on Kim Jong-un and Trump's upcoming talks. Spain's highest court convicted 5 men known as the Wolf Pack. Illinois passes recreational marijuana. San Francisco to be the first city to ban e-cigarettes. Wayfair workers to walk out for selling government furniture to be used in detention centers. Duncan Hunter used campaign money for at least 5 affairs. Democrat primary kicks off. Protest over the DNC's refusal to hold debate over climate change. Juan Gonzalez says there are refugees in need of help in airports across the U.S. Survivor of World War II internment camp speaks out. Japanese Americans know the trauma of child detention. DHS whistleblower who spoke out against Obama-era immigration jails condemns condition on the border. AOC joins the progressives to vote against Democrats on funding bill for DHS, calling for the abolition of ICE. Trump administration moves 100 migrant kids back to child jail despite concern over inhumane conditions. Human Rights Watch researcher, child migrant jail conditions are urgent. Department of Homeland Security whistleblower. Children detained at the border are at risk of deep trauma. From Philip DeFranco. San Francisco to be the first city to ban e-cigarettes. People outraged at Kim Kardashian for trying to culturally appropriate the kimono for a new product. Trump lashes out at Megan Rapinoe for not singing to the national anthem and for kneeling. And Trump also lashes out at Robert Mueller for testifying before Congress. From the Rational National, Beto's new tax proposal is just dumb. And the Rational Live, Debate Night 1 predictions and Q&A. From the Humanist Report, attacks on Bernie Sanders' student loan cancellation plan are hilariously dumb. Bernie Sanders laughs in reporter's face after she unleashes stupidity on him. And what to look for on night 1 of the first 2020 Democratic primary debate. From Vice News, Republican senators killed a bill by running away from police. And Jared Kushner's Middle East peace plan isn't going very well. And they come for us at night. China's vanishing Muslim population, the Uyghurs. From MCSC, what to expect from Tulsi Gabbard in the first debate. Cenk, Emma, and TYT shamelessly prop up Warren heading into the debates. Elizabeth Warren introduces election integrity plan that does nothing. Nico House has got a severe issue with Elizabeth Warren, I swear. He's more propaganda than he is news, but I put his channel on here anyway. And the 2019 Democratic debate corporate free coverage. From Tim Black TV. Mayor Pete Buttigieg responds to a South Bend police crisis. Democratic Debate 2020, Tim Black predictions, bets, and rants. And the 2020 debate winners, losers, and no-shows. From Vox, how this border changed a subcontinent, India and Pakistan. From C-SPAN, C-SPAN's campaign 2020 video library. Senator Johnson reacts to a photo of drowned migrants on the Rio Grande. From Thursday, on status quo. on Thursday, from Status Coup. Trump supporter goes off on Jordan. Obama's son of a Muslim commie whore. Can you provide proof? Right-wingers are so stupid. Some of the dumbest people, they say, you should be nice to the right wing. No, they're morons. I've not met an intelligent right-winger yet. Trump supporter decries socialism and then admits he's on socialist Social Security. See, the right wing in America is morons. And powerful Green New Deal march outside the Democratic debate. It's a moral duty to show up. Tulsi Gabbard reacts to Democratic debate. Others not focusing on the cost of war. Nina Turner and Cornel West before Democratic debate. Bernie would have beat Trump. From Secular Talk. The first 2019 Democratic primary debate breakdown. Winners and losers. Ridiculous moments from the first Democratic primary debate of 2019. Beto O'Rourke's glorious debate fell. Democratic candidates asked trick Medicare for all question. Yeah, the media did throw a trick question out there. Would you abolish insurance to have Medicare for all? Medicare uses insurance, people! It's just run by the government. It doesn't require the abolishment to get rid of insurance. It doesn't. That is only optional, you morons. Of course, I didn't notice it when I was first going over the information. But they did. They said abolish, which Medicare for all does not require an abolishment of insurance. I wish it did. We'd be better off. Bill de Blasio surprises everyone at the first Democratic primary debate of 2019. Tulsi Gabbard lays the debate smackdown on crying Tim Ryan. From Democracy Now! A review of the Night 1 debates. Senate passed a bill to provide aid to the southern border. Warren and Klobuchar visited a detention center in Homestead, Florida. Bank of America will end its relationship with companies tied to the mistreatment of migrants. Family of Eric Logan filed a lawsuit on the officer who did not have his body cam on in South Bend, Indiana. 2 blasts rocked the capital of Tunis in Tunisia. Trump met other world leaders in Osaka, Japan. A French court found the government failed to tackle air pollution around Paris. A UN expert warned the wealthy can pay their way out of climate problems as the poor will suffer. House Oversight Committee to subpoena Kellyanne Conway over her violations of the Hatch Act. Iraqi man had removal order vacated to have case heard in New Mexico. Democratic candidates talk immigration, health care, and more in the first presidential primary debate. Under Trump, Democrats have a chance to craft more humane immigration policies. How organizers made trans rights a conversation at the Democratic debate. This is a planetary emergency, says activists who confront the DNC's approach to the climate crisis. Anand Giridharadas. Democrats should keep things simple like Trump does. How Bernie Sanders shifted the conversation in U.S. politics. From Philip DeFranco. Motherboard found a deepfakes article where they make realistic nudes using deepfake software. Pregnant woman who was shot and lost her baby is charged with manslaughter in Alabama. Project Veritas video says Google has a limited liberal bias, even though we know Project Veritas used shady means to get the information and edited the video to suit their means. From the Rational National, Tulsi Gabbard embarrasses Tim Ryan in first debate. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell shreds Donnie Deutsch for pure guesswork after the debate. Beto skirts debate question twice. Speaks Spanish instead. Night 1, Democratic debate breakdown. From the Humanist Report. The debate breakdown. These are the winners and losers of the first Democratic debate, night 1. What to look for on night 2 of the first Democratic 2020 primary debate. Tulsi Gabbard clobbers Tim Ryan in the debate. He then smears her afterwards. Julian Castro hits Beto O'Rourke hard on immigration. Trump was credibly accused of rape, but no one seems to care. And Chuck Todd sets a right-wing trap at the Democratic debate that many candidates fell into. From Vice News, Marianne Williamson wants to heal the country by running for president. MAGA rally attendees talk Trump 2020. From MCSC, the Democratic debate pregame show. From Tim Black TV, 2020 Democratic debate, June the 26th, 2019, the Underachievers. The 2020 Democratic debate second night. Can Bernie win? From Vox, the humane way to kill a fish. From C-SPAN, Representative Escobar's emotional speech on drowned migrants. And from The Intercept, Representative AOC slams Republicans for using a humanitarian crisis as a bargaining chip. Finally, on Friday, from Status Quo, Bernie Sanders supporter post-debate. Bernie was marching during segregation. Where was Joe Biden? Bernie Sanders supporter post-debate. NBC going for a gotcha moment against Bernie. The DNC blocks journalists from interviewing candidates' supporters at Democratic debate. Kamala Harris doesn't care about her hoarding money, or Kamala Harris supporter doesn't care about her hoarding money from Wall Street. From the secular talk, Democratic candidates say what the biggest threat to the U.S. is. Elizabeth Warren's best moment of the first Democratic debate of 2019. Tulsi dodged question in slow debate start. Delusional Democrat. I'll work with Mitch McConnell on universal health care. No, you won't. Cory Booker refuses to re-enter the Iran deal as president. The first Democratic debate breakdown, night 2. Winners and losers. Bernie asked trick question in Democratic debate. Bernie bulldozes debate on Medicare for all like a boss. Biden's hilarious and awful question dodge at the Democratic debate. And Kamala Harris eviscerates Biden to his face. And Bernie clobbers Biden on foreign policy. From Democracy Now! The Supreme Court ruled partisan gerrymandering cannot be tried in federal court, which is a mistake. It's a big mistake on the Supreme Court's half. You notice it was only right-wingers who voted that way. Supreme Court also blocked the citizenship question that Trump wanted on the census. Debate coverage. The U.S. House of Representatives approves funding bill for the border. World leaders gathered in Japan for the G20. Trump's chief of diplomatic protocol resigns. A pregnant woman in Alabama was charged with manslaughter after she was shot and her baby died. Megan Rapinoe stands by the remarks that she refuses to go to the White House. I support her 100%. Screw Trump. Body of 32-year-old trans woman found in Kansas City, Missouri. The 50th anniversary of Stonewall. Supreme Court hands the GOP a big victory on gerrymandering, ensuring massive election rigging. Second night of primary debate puts focus on immigration rights and Joe Biden's opposition to busing. Remembering Stonewall. On the 50th anniversary, leaders of uprising look back on sparking the LGBTQ movement. From Philip DeFranco, why it matters that the U.S.-Cuba relations are tense again and how it happened. Trump was an idiot. The Rational National. Rational Live. Debate Night 2 predictions. Kamala Harris wrecks Joe Biden in the first debate. And Night 2 Democratic debate breakdown. From the Humanist Report, debate breakdown. These are the winners and losers of the first Democratic debate, Night 2. Kamala Harris may have single-handedly ended Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. I think she severely damaged it. I don't think she's quite ended it, but she's put a hole in the bottom of that boat. Bernie Sanders calls out Joe Biden's awful foreign policy record in debate. Kirsten Gillibrand talks corruption, money in politics at the Dem debate. From Vice News, the band Mannequin Pussy breaks down their song Drunk 2. From MCSC, Tulsi Gabbard was #1 search term in the country. The actual winner of the Dem debate 2, Marianne Williamson. And Tulsi Gabbard destroys Tim Ryan's career and rises to stardom. I think she destroyed Tim Ryan's career, but I don't think she's quite risen to stardom yet. She's gotten a little more. She's gotten quite a bit more interest, but she still needs to further push in the debates. From Tim Black TV, Joe Biden versus Kamala Harris. The Democratic debate, Bernie Sanders, Mayor Pete, and Andrew Yang. From Vox, these photos ended child labor in the U.S. And from C-SPAN, former President Jimmy Carter calls President Trump an illegitimate president. And that is all the news for this last week. I hope you've enjoyed. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. If you don't put the responsibility upon yourself to learn it, others will feed you lies. And I'll see you all again in the next video. But until then, later.